Hey Aquarius, this is your 2025 forecast. We're going to go through all of the major transits of the year and how this will affect your sign. Of course, we're going to talk mainly about rising and sun. I would say also moon here to some degree as well. Um, so if you have an Aquarius moon, this could still apply to you somewhat also, but definitely listen to all three, but nothing will ever be obviously a personal reading so that we can see how it affects all of the planets in your chart. If you'd like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so at calmspirit.com, KALM, just like my last name, spirit.com. So let's get into some of the major transits that you will see this year. So we're starting the year off with a Mars retrograde. So Mars is retrograde in Leo, but very quickly does re-enter Cancer, where it will stay until April 18th, but then it will still be going over the shadow period of which it was originally retrograde. So we're going to really feel this transit for really that first half of the year. So it's still pretty significant. So the houses involved for you are going to be the seventh and the sixth house. So it starts out in your seventh house of relationships. So Aquarius, a lot of you guys are dealing with some major power struggles and frustrations here. And you might really feel like people are like pushing your buttons on purpose. And honestly, you're probably right about that. A lot of times when we see Mars come into the seventh like this, it does really bring some huge arguments to a head. Okay. So this could be like a major power dynamic that you're going through and with somebody in a marriage or a business partner. This could also be people trying to be competitive with you and just being kind of nasty. I think that this is something that you're going to see at the beginning part of the year, and then I think you're going to see this surface as well. Unfortunately, in like April and May, especially. Okay. This is going to bring up a lot of just kind of people with bad intentions and sort of an evil eye. You know what I mean? You're more susceptible to evil eye this year. So definitely be aware of that. Go buy like an evil eye bracelet or something. Especially for that first half of the year. I see that being sort of difficult for you. On the other hand, another way that we could interpret this is to say that there are maybe some people that need to be purged out of your life. And I have a suspicion that you may actually purge such people because we have Jupiter entering this house later on. Um, not for a bit, but later on you will have Jupiter enter this house, which tells me that things do get better for you later on this front, more like 2026 though. Now most of the Mars retrograde is going to be in your sixth house here, which is going to keep you really busy and frustrated. I feel like a lot of you guys feel like you are just spinning on a bunch of work, like a lot of, it feels like you feel like they're unfair tasks actually. Like maybe you feel like have kind of had a lot of work like just kind of thrown on you unfairly. There's a lot of pent up anger to this. And to me, when Mars goes through Cancer, a lot of us are going to have these like pent up feelings that we have not expressed and that we are not feeling. And I think that you will definitely be susceptible to that, especially because this is the sixth house of health. So this could even manifest as some minor health issues for some of you guys, maybe as like like itchiness, rashes, like inflammation. I feel itchy as I say that. um, or even stomach issues because it's cancer. Cancer is related to the stomach. But what the real core issue is here typically is actually a pent up feeling that needs to be released. So a lot of you guys are just really pissed off, I think, or frustrated, especially because you are dealing with some haters around you. Like I said, with that Mars, where it's going, it does feel like you do have that. And even in the sixth house here, this could cause more like conflict around work. So maybe you start to clash a little bit with clients or coworkers or employees or something like that. I could see that coming up through the sixth house as well. I would also say, as much as you're being motivated to rush, do not do it. Because you could have a minor accident if you do, like not to scare you. Just be aware of that. I would say don't rush around. It's not worth it for you in that first half of the year. Um, I don't see anything major there, but I just want you to keep an eye on it. We also have a Venus retrograde this year, so both Mars and Venus are retrograding this year. So this Venus retrograde is going to start out in your third house and move back into your second house. Okay. So this is really about reconnecting with probably like old friends, maybe even old lovers that you've had. Some of you guys might go visit like old communities you were a part of, or link up, like I said, with an old friend or something. Maybe you'll get invited to a block party in your old neighborhood or something, right? Like it's like that's sort of the example that I'm seeing there. I see that happening especially around March for you. Um, You could have a running with a sibling as well during this time. That might not be a good thing for some of you guys. Given this, I do notice some tenser aspects. So this could be positive or negative depending on your own natal chart, honestly. But I do see that for you. Some of you guys might even be purchasing something new because it does drift into the second house here as well. So some of you guys may end up buying like a new home or car or something like that during this time. But I do really feel like you are reevaluating kind of what is important to you and what you value. You've had Saturn and Neptune going through your second house of finances for some time now, especially so Saturn, Neptune's been there for quite a while. Saturn probably the last year and a half, I want to say. So definitely throughout 2024, you were dealing already with kind of this sense of like, um, I have a dream to make money in a new way, but I'm not sure how to go about making that happen. Like feeling a sense of restriction, but also a sense of longing when it comes to your financial state, and your sense of stability, like what you have, the stuff that you have, for instance. So with Venus coming now and retrograding here around March, I think that you are in the first part of the year here kind of thinking about all of the lessons that you've learned from that transit. Um, and you may start reorganizing things for yourself actually at the beginning of the year here then. So maybe some of you guys will give some stuff away or downsize, or you might rework out your budgeting, or maybe some of you guys will really just, but at the bottom line here, it's just like looking at your values, like what's important to you. Like, is this, are there might be things, right, that are just taking up space that are not really worth it for you anymore. And like those are the kind of things that I see you maybe reevaluating and releasing here at the beginning of the year. Even though this Venus retrograde is really only between March and April, it's going to be felt throughout the year because it is a significant, unusually significant Venus retrograde because it's the start of a new pattern in which it creates. So I think even throughout the year, you're kind of in this headspace of um how do I of yeah, making money. Like what is the best way for me to reach my financial goals, and also about valuing yourself. We're going to talk about this more when we get to North Node at the end because that is going to go through that second house there. But we do have 3 Mercury retrogrades this year also, and they are also happening in money work related houses. All the Mercury retrogrades this year are primarily in fire signs, which rule your second, sixth, and 10th houses. So, or no, sorry. These Mercury retrogrades are in your third, seventh, and 11th houses. So a lot of you guys are reconnecting maybe with like people that you worked with before. You might be revitalizing an old project. Some of you guys might be like chatting with old coworkers about business ideas, for example. Um, yeah, some of you guys this could be a good year for you to kind of revive like an old clientele as well. As you like some of you guys maybe have like old friends or old like networks that you built up for something and then it kind of like petered off. And now this year would be a good time for you to revive that so that you can include them on maybe like a branch off project that is related or something like that. You know what I mean? So I can see a lot of you guys kind of getting more social this year as well. Um, Neptune and Saturn are going to be switching signs. They are going to be switching into Aries together. Neptune will enter first there at the end of March, Saturn at the end of May, and then they will join up in the middle of June. They actually are going to leave Aries and retrograde back into Pisces and then enter again together in 2026. So what I'm about to describe will apply to you this year, but also you will repeat it again next year. So Saturn and Neptune start out here in your second house, but that's nothing new for you because it's already been going through that house, as I said earlier. Saturn's was definitely there throughout 2024. So you guys have already kind of been in this space of like wanting to make a shift financially, wanting to value yourself enough that you see kind of a road forward for yourself on those goals. Like I think a lot of you guys have this like sense of longing towards those goals, but feel like you can't have it or it's like out of reach for you or it's just difficult to get or something. A lot of financial confusion restriction here. Not necessarily in regards to other people giving you money. I'm talking more about like you making your own money here. this is going to start to shift here, especially in like May, June. It's going to start to really shift over to your third house. Now, this is suggesting to me that starting in the mid to the end of the year, you're starting to really make some real progress and leeway in regards to um finding direction about that issue around money. Okay. And you're starting to make moves and making that happen here through the end of the year. But now you're starting to, so that sense of confusion is leaving you when it comes to that, which is good. But now you're kind of going to start to find yourself in this place of like wanting more, wanting a stronger community, wanting um to feel connected to people in this more authentic way. And you're going to feel the need to kind of fight for that as well. Some of you guys might have a lot of ideas that come to you during the year, especially at the end of the year. Some of you guys might have like writing ideas or speaking ideas, or maybe you want to start a podcast, or maybe like, you know what I mean? I actually think you're going to probably have a lot of ideas. Saturn here, though, is telling you to really focus on like one or two of those ideas, because I think you're going to get a lot of ideas and it can kind of like distract and just disperse your energy too much, that it pulls away from your success in that area. Um, I feel like you feel like it's a little elusive connecting to people. It's like you feel really inspired to communicate. And you go and you put out these things that are these like beautiful poems or something, right? But nobody else seems to like get it. And you're like, why does nobody get it? That's the feeling that I get, is like you feel really drawn and inspired to connect, but also feel like people are not really understanding you, or there's something's getting lost in translation here. This whole transit is going to be a long transit, and it's really about trying to show you the best way to communicate authentically for you. If I hope that makes sense. So it's really calling you to see that there's a lot more to communication than just like literal words that are said. There's also the energy behind it, and the tonality and the body language and all, so on and so forth. And so I really feel like this is asking you to try to read between the lines a little bit more, because communication is going to get kind of confusing for you throughout a lot of the end of the year. You might have people even lying to you straight up, honestly. But so this also could be misunderstandings. So really try to be as clear as possible in the way that you communicate. And I think that's what you're going to find yourself challenged on there at the end of the year. Now, Jupiter is also going to shift signs. Jupiter starts out in Gemini, but shifts signs into Cancer there in June. And so that means that Jupiter starts out in your fifth house. Now, Jupiter was in your fifth house already throughout 2024. So the first part of the year, that's not going to be surprising for you. This is what you've been already dealing with. Jupiter through the fifth house can be a lot of fun. It can bring a lot of great opportunities to like get away, have a good time, have fun. You may have found that not all those opportunities you could truly enjoy here with Saturn squaring it. So maybe some of you guys had financial obligations or arguments or something that like held you back at times. But the opportunities were definitely popping up for you to have a lot of good times. Some of you guys may have also had some good times with your kids, or have seen their lives improve in some way throughout 2024, and that will continue in the first part of the year here. Some of you guys are wanting to have kids. You can definitely make that happen with Jupiter here. With Uranus entering soon after, there might be some unexpected situations there as well. So if you're not trying to have a kid, then be very aware of that, because that could definitely happen. The first part of the year is also a good time of year for you to really launch a business or work on some sort of business idea that you have, as well as meet somebody new if you're a single Aquarius, or even if you're with somebody and you just are like, you know, we need to like revitalize this relationship after all that arguing that we had in January and April. Then you can do that with Jupiter in the fifth house. It brings a lot of opportunities for dating as well. You are going to find that shift in June into the sixth house. You're going to like that though, because you had Mars already run amok through the first part of the year, where it was just like burning you up and causing these little health issues and making you just feel like crazy and busy and stuff. Jupiter is going to make your daily life better. So I have a feeling that you do get frustrated with that at the first part of the year, and you do make a shift here by the middle of the year into the end of the year, in which that that vastly improves whatever that situation is. Okay, so some of you guys might get some answers in regards to a minor health issue and overcome them. Some of you guys may improve your daily life. Maybe some of you guys needed to move away from somebody toxic in order to improve your daily life. that I can see playing that out that way for some of you guys as well. Jupiter going through the 6th is a really good time to like apply for jobs or get new clients as well. So if you were a smart Aquarius who listened to this video, then you already, for the first part of the year, were launching some sort of business idea. So now here at the last half of the year, as well as into 2026, you can really start to build up that client base. So I see the first part of the year as being a really good time of year for you to fully like just launch it and then focus on the like brass tack, actually getting the work done and building up new clients there at the end of the year. But overall, Jupiter through the 6th, you are going to feel a bit of relief there because it is going to improve your general daily life. Uranus is also switching signs this year. So Uranus is in Taurus for much of the year, and he's actually been in Taurus since 2018, but he's going to briefly visit Gemini between July and November. This will give us a taste of what it will be like when he fully enters Gemini in 2026, where he will then stay for 7 years. So since 2018, you've been experiencing this through your through your 4th house. So since 2018, you maybe have had a lot of unexpected situations coming up in your home life. Okay. So a lot of you guys have maybe really wished that you could break away from home. Some of you probably did. So maybe some of you did move away or go through a significant breakup or something. Something that really just massively changed your domestic life here. Now for some of you, even if you haven't switched that, maybe even feeling really rebellious about it, if you haven't fully broken away from your home in some way, you probably will do that here at the beginning of this year, I suspect, while Uranus is still in there. Some of you guys may have had random problems with your home too, or renovations that you needed to do, or storm damage or some kind of thing. I can also see that with Uranus going through here. That is going to start to shift for you, okay, into your 5th house, which has its pros and cons. So at least with it out of the 4th house, like I said, I think some of you guys might actually move here at the first part of the year, but it'll depend on your individual natal chart. But once it gets into the 5th house, this is like really going to be crazy for dating, especially. So if you're just a single Aquarius, dating is going to get really crazy for you. So some of you guys are going to go through a whirlwind romance there at the end of the year and feel like really swept off your feet by somebody. Some of you guys might even go through a random breakup here, though. It really depends on your own natal chart. If you're already with somebody, then I would say more likely a breakup. If you're single, I would say more likely meeting somebody here. But the whole transit, which again is going to be like 7 years long, it's going to be like a long process of just having these really unexpected events happen around dating. So go ahead and ask a Capricorn what that's like, because they just went through Uranus through their 5th throughout this time. So again, could be unexpected pregnancies, unexpected issues around kids as well. So keep an eye on kids there, and kind of what's going on in their life, because they might get extra rebellious with you. You might enter a real rebellious phase where they're acting out with Uranus going through this house as well. If you are not in a traditional field, this could be a good thing. Like, let's say you did start that business that I told you should launch. And now that Uranus is in this house, it's going to bring a lot of unexpected events around that business. Okay. So watch out that you don't get so busy that you can't even manage it. Try to set yourself up really well before in that first part of the year to be able to like have everything kind of, a well-oiled running machine so that everything's smooth. So that when Uranus hits here, you're not completely crashed out by the unexpected shifts that it makes in your life. But if you are maybe working online or you're in an unconventional business like an astrologer or some other type of holistic business like a Reiki healer or something, or in some sort of scientific business, maybe you build apps or something like that, this could be good for you. It actually could bring you a lot of attention and therefore kind of pay off big financially for you as well. Okay. I can definitely see that here, but it does feel like you're garnering some big attention here, most likely. So I can see that really working out well if you play your cards right. Pluto is in your sign now. So how do you feel, Aquarius? Pluto briefly visited your sign in 2023 and then fully entered it here last year. In 2024. So now in 2025, it's there for good. And where it's at is significant because it's in the early degrees of Aquarius, which is where that grand conjunction happened. If you followed me, you probably heard about it a billion times because I talk about it all the time. But the grand conjunction really started a long 20-year long process, which will unfold a massive purpose in your life. So Aquarius is really being called to positions of leadership. Okay. And so they're getting the most pressure on them of all the signs to really do that. So a lot of Aquariuses are going to be really defining who they are throughout this year. year, okay? And it's going to shock a lot of people as well. Okay. Some people are going to be shocked by some of the things that you decide to do. Some of you guys might vastly change how you look with Pluto going through your sign. Some of you guys might change your name even, or a title or something, or this could be career related for some of you. Pluto does rule your 10th here. So I could see this being a career shift for some of you guys as well. Um, Other people are intimidated by you, and this is the main thing that you should know, because you're probably not used to having, well, you can't, I know you're not, there's no possible way you have Pluto in your first house. So you've never really experienced Pluto in your first house before. So having Pluto here is going to make you seem very powerful and influential to other people. On one hand, it's going to make you very magnetic and people are going to be really drawn towards you. But on the other hand, this can make people really intimidated by you because they see you as powerful, and so they feel like they need to control you. So you're going to be dealing with people who are really trying to be subversively controlling over you and your life, especially in the first half of the year. But you're going to continue to feel this for a while because Pluto will be here for 17 years. Okay. This won't necessarily be this level of intensity that whole time. It really depends on your own natal chart as to when that intensity will be. But I do say the first half of the year because that's when we have that Mars opposition. Either way, just be aware that other people are going to try and overshadow you or push you down. Okay. So just be really aware of that, because I think that Aquarius is normally a very social sign and wants to be involved with a lot of people. And I love that about you guys. But I think that this could get you into trouble in certain senses of partnership. So while it is really great for you to revisit all of these projects and have all these cool conversations like we're talking about, I just want you to be aware that maybe it doesn't have to be that deep, right? Like maybe don't sign no documents with these people is what I'm saying. Maybe don't make any like agreements that you couldn't get out of. Okay. I just think that there could be misunderstandings even about those agreements with Neptune in the third. And I also feel like people are going to be a little subversive to you. So if you feel in your gut like somebody is playing mind games with you or being subtly subversive to you, you should trust your gut on that, because honestly, I think it's true. Not to feed any delulu, but that's how Pluto rolls. And I want to give you that validation because I think there'll be a lot of people around you that'll be like, no, they probably didn't mean it that way, because that's how Pluto works. So if you feel like somebody is subtly trying to overpower you, they probably are. So make sure you set really good boundaries for yourself this year. The last thing I want to talk about is North Node. So North Node is going to shift also into Pisces on January 29th, and he's going to be there all year. So Pisces rules your second house. So like I said earlier, I feel like you did go through a bit of soul searching in 2024 and the very beginning of 2025 when it comes to your finances and what you want that to look like. And hopefully through that process, you kind of nailed down what you value and what is important to you, as well as what you bring to the table, what you are also worth here, and what it is that you already know, or what knowledge you already have. So I see you really making moves now, especially starting in the middle of the year on starting to for like actually bring into fruition these money making ideas. So while this transit could be really great for you to really start to see some leeway on that and start to make money in a new way that is more aligned to you spiritually and more aligned to the kind of impact you want to make on the world. You might feel a spiritual calling of some kind, or you might just feel like whatever you've done in the past to make money for you is like, now you start to feel like you're selling out doing it because things have shifted for you, you know what I mean? Or like it's just not a good fit for you anymore. So I see a lot of you guys shifting into new money making ways of making money throughout the year, especially that last half of the year. But that also means that South Node is going through your eighth. So this is a really hard year for you in the sense of relying on other people. Okay. So I really feel like some of you guys might feel a little lonely through part of this experience. To be honest with you, with South Node going through the eighth, I feel like you could learn some difficult secrets or have some dark psychological things come up, or maybe go through some sort of major loss that leaves you feeling bewildered a little bit or alone in this. You might see a spouse's income drop off or something like that is another example of how I could see this play out. But overall, it's like really difficult to rely on others. But it will give you a lot of opportunities to rely on yourself. And so that's where you're really being guided this year, is to step into your own power and know that you don't actually need anybody else. You actually have all the power within you. That's why you have Pluto in your own sign. Now, Pluto is about power. So you're either going to get overpowered or you're going to become empowered. So that's why we're going to do the second one, right? That's why this is your year to step into your true power and recognize that you make the rules in your life and you are the one who creates your own destiny. And this is the year for you to step in and make that happen. So I hope that this reading was helpful. If you want a more in-depth reading, of course, you can always book one with me. My website is calmspirit.com, KALM, like my last name, spirit.com. And yeah, thank you for watching. Leave a comment. Let me know if this is the year that you're hoping for. And if this resonates, definitely give me the feedback. I do appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching and have a great year.